Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be diving into a number of different cryptos that the community actually likes the most. Many of you guys have constantly been asking me for an update on a number of these different assets, and so I figured today would be a great opportunity to cover what is going on in some of these cryptos that I do actually have in my portfolio, what are going on with some of the cryptos that you guys hold, as well as actually talking about how some of the prior cycles in 2017 look so much like what we're seeing today in a number of these different cryptos. This is why I believe we're about to see one of the biggest rises in price that we've seen up to this point, and why we're all about to make a ton of money if we're long-term holders in the game. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 21,000 members growing. Links are provided for you in the description for the people that want to join my community and sign up. On top of that, if you're new, just getting into these markets and you want extra educational content on how to be more profitable inside the market, links are also provided for you in the description to go ahead and download my free ebook and Beginner's Guide to Crypto. So check it out. Links are provided for you in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. So I figured the best way to start this video would be literally just to dive into these cryptos. I didn't feel like talking about Bitcoin or Ethereum. There's really not much that can be said besides what I've already said in my prior videos. And so I actually wanted to cover something that I felt like would open your guys' eyes up a lot and at least give you some deeper perspective on what to expect coming at the end of the year. Now, the big thing that I want you guys to understand here is as we get closer towards the end of the year, even though there's definitely a lot of similarities between 2017, this cycle is also very unique in its own way. And so it's not going to be 100% the same all the way through, but we have noticed a lot of the same similarities amongst some of the leaders inside of the market, some of them that have already taken off a lot. They do look a lot like some of those 2017 altcoins that did the same thing. And so what I wanted to start this video off by talking about was Stellar Lumens, and this was actually brought to my attention from Tech Dev on Twitter, so shout out to Tech Dev. He's awesome. He's been growing a lot recently. He just hit 200,000 followers. So if you guys do, go check him out. Go on Twitter at Tech Dev. But the thing I wanted to cover in today's video was mainly just this first breakout that we saw in that last cycle for the altcoins. So this is pretty much what happened in a number of them, almost all of them. Altcoins went sideways for a long period of time, practically 1,000 days of consolidation, you know, give or take some days. And then what ended up taking place, once Bitcoin broke all-time highs, everything in the market, or I should say all of the good returning altcoins, which was pretty much every altcoin back then, there wasn't many of them, they all broke out and made their first market cycle, right? And then this took us to our summer sell-off. You can see that this one topped at the beginning of May. It was actually mid-May towards the end of May. That we ended up getting that top, and then we actually had this short-term bear cycle. Now, one of the big reasons why I've been so bullish inside of the market and have been bullish even when we had that nasty 60% drawdown in Bitcoin, and then, you know, many altcoins did even worse than that. I wasn't fearful in that period of time because I knew and had actually experienced what that was like back in 2017. Because you guys got to remember, I was in crypto all the way back here in 2016. That's when I first got into crypto. And so I got to experience the fullness of the last market cycle from beginning to end. And this was one of the things that I did have to go through, was this little mini bear market. And it's so similar to the one that we're seeing today. Not only are the time frames that are the same, not only is this exactly 4 years ago, not exactly, but at the time of the sell-off, it was almost exactly 4 years ago to the date. And so it's interesting how not only are we following the same time frames, but we experienced roughly the same size of correction. In fact, in 2017, you could argue that that one was even more brutal for altcoins. In fact, Stellar Lumens dropped by 88%. So this was literally a bear market inside of a bull market. And it's crazy that we had such an explosive rally on the upside almost to completely erase it inside of that short-term correction. And basically the time frames that we were looking at, if we go from the top analyzed to like the bottom, it was about 137 days worth of consolidation from the top until we ended that little correction. And then we ended up getting our first impulse off of the lows. And this first impulse is actually very similar to what we see today inside of Ethereum. We had our major run into new all-time highs. Let's drop it to a bigger time frame so it's easier to see. we had this big run into new all-time highs, and then we had this correction. And look at this first impulse that we saw inside of Ethereum. It looks a lot like the one that we see inside of Stellar Lumens right here. Quick impulse, correction, and then this is ultimately what happened to Stellar Lumens as we went to the final rally in the cycle. Keep in mind, Stellar Lumens had one of the biggest blow-off tops amongst the altcoins. Not all of them ended up looking like this, and so the chances that you guys are holding some of these altcoins that are going to do this, I mean, depending on how many altcoins you hold, you're probably going to get a couple that do this, but it's not like every single one of them are going to have this type of a move. However, if you find the good ones and you are holding them, this is what you guys can definitely expect to see. And in fact, if we take a price tool, we drop from the bottom of this consolidation like here, we go to the top. I mean, that was like 32x just in the blow off top. So, I mean, can you imagine if you were holding from at this point down here, or maybe you even just bought lower in this correction? You know, you could be sitting on a lot of profit potential. And that's why I've just been constantly coaching everyone, explaining, you know what, don't worry about this sell-off that we've been in Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was at, you know, $30,000 consolidating, going sideways for a month and a half, 2 months. I told everybody not to worry so much about that, because this is kind of the same thing that we had already experienced back in 2017. And so I wanted to actually share with you guys that update, because many altcoins in today's time frames are actually doing this exact same setup to some degree. That actually the correction wasn't as brutal, thankfully. That's why I said some of these altcoins in 2017, you know, had a full bear cycle inside of that bull market. And so a lot of altcoins today aren't doing that. They didn't have that big of a pullback. Many altcoins didn't go quite as parabolic, but a lot of them have, and many cycles look similar to what we see here today. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to be diving into altcoins that either I've been holding that I haven't talked about in a while, altcoins that you guys recommended that I haven't covered before, or altcoins that I think look similar to what we're seeing today. So that's going to be kind of a menagerie of different things. And to start off, I wanted to take a look at Decentraland. Not so much that I think it's a good time to buy this, because I'm going to say right now it's not, but because this is one of the cryptos that I do hold, and it gives you kind of an idea of what many altcoins are going to do at the end of this year. So in my opinion, guys, the blow-off top's already started. As Bitcoin started to make a new all-time high, even though we're having this pullback right now, I don't think it holds any sort of weight. It's going to get bought up really quickly, and then we're going to go into another new all-time high. I firmly believe that, and so what we're seeing on some of these altcoins, keep in mind, Decentraland pumped because of the Facebook news. When Facebook decided that they were going to change their name to Meta, and they were diving into the metaverse and becoming very orientated with that, that's when we saw a lot of new money come into many of these metaverse tokens, right? So this is somewhat of an enhancement compared to what you're normally going to see, but this just goes to show you what happens during the end of the cycle. It's all narrative driven. If there's some famous person, some big company, institution, or anything comes out and makes a statement that has something to do in a big way with some of these cryptos, depending on what they're working on, these are the type of things that happen. And we've already seen it with meme coins. I mean, you look at Shiba Inu, you look at a number of these meme coins, they've gone up so high so fast, and it's all because of speculation. We're in the speculative part of the market cycle where everybody's just here to try and make money. They've either heard somebody close to them making money, they've seen it on the news, or they've been in crypto for a little while and made money for themselves. Everybody kind of falls under one of those categories. And so everybody's here to make money. And then once the hype comes into the market, we see a lot of money that can flock to one place at a single time very fast. And so this is kind of a prime example of that, what we saw in Decentraland, where we have a similar cycle as what we saw with Stellar Lumens. You know, months and months of consolidation, followed by our first breakout into price discovery, and then we got our correction. Now, this correction isn't going to be quite as bad as what we saw with Stellar Lumens, but it was close. This one was 76% compared to 88%. The high off of the lows is similar. We have a pullback. It wasn't quite as nice as what we saw with Stellar Lumens. This was a clear impulse with, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott wave impulses. Now, with Decentraland, we can still see the Elliott waves, but it looks kind of funky. Regardless, it still created the same type of a blow-off top, and that's kind of what we saw here. Now, I don't think that it's done by any means. I think that we're probably in a state of like right here. That's where I think that we would most likely be inside of Decentraland, but I still think we have a lot more upside to go. And so this is kind of the fun part of the cycle, is trying to find which ones are going to do this. Keep in mind, guys, that I don't think you should go and chase pumps or anything like that, because you're going to see a lot of money thrown at the wall from random people, you know, jumping on narrative to narrative, going back and forth, because we're just at that point of the cycle. There's a lot of speculative money in the market. And so you don't need to go hopping from coin to coin. You don't need to go chasing every pump that you see. Just, you know, have your portfolio and hold that, and you're bound to be holding one of these that ends up taking off in a big way. Another prime example is actually Verocity. Now, this is another crypto that tech dev's been talking about a lot. I actually had somebody in my Discord server that talked a lot about this as well. He called it really early on, made some members in the Discord a lot of money, so shout out to him. But the cool thing about this one is just how similar it really is to that Stellar Lumen cycle, where we have months of consolidation. We make our first breakout. This one even had a pretty nasty dip like we saw with Stellar. This one was about 86%. So if any one of them looks the most like Stellar Lumens, it's this one. And that's one of the things I think we should pay attention for, is which altcoins have rebounded off of their lows after this correction the hardest, because that's obviously where the money's going. Cryptos that are already making new all-time highs, cryptos that were at this point here where they rallied straight off the lows back to their all-time highs, those are going to be the ones that are obviously showing the biggest performance. And so as a rule of thumb, they're going to continue to do really well. Now, if any of them look like Stellar Lumens, this is the one that looks the most like it. I think that we're in an early stage where we're going to see this one keep trending up in a big way. You know, 50x from this point at, you know, 2.5 cents. It's definitely not unreasonable to see that in these type of cycles. And so this is a really important thing that we need to pay attention for as we get venturing closer towards the end of the year, because in my opinion, guys, the blow off top has already started. We are already seeing altcoins going into price discovery. We're already seeing a number of these different metaverse tokens blowing up, making massive returns, you know, in very short periods of time. This is kind of what you are typically expected to see inside of the end of the year cycle. And so I believe that we're already seeing the stages of this, the early beginnings. And we're going to continue to see a number of these altcoins breaking out. And so for the rest of the video, I just wanted to cover a number of altcoins that either you guys sent in, or I hold, or I just thought were interesting that look like good buys. Just as a way to kind of summarize some thoughts and explain how many altcoins are going to look different as a whole. Now, the first one I want to talk to you guys about today is actually going to be Bird Money. Now, Bird Money is just one of those early cycles that hasn't done a whole lot. And this is one that kind of got its first little boost, you know, just in the last year. And so what we can see is five impulse waves off of the lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an ABC back down, pretty much fully retraced. And now we've just had this little rounded bottom accumulation, and we're seeing breakouts of volume and big increases in price on the way up. This is the sure signs of an early cycle before it breaks out and makes new all-time highs, goes into price discovery. And I don't think it's done by any means. It's still a pretty small market cap, but I think it's actually setting up to be a good entry for people that have been watching this. I've been watching this for a long time. I actually bought this all the way back in February, earlier this year, and I've just been kind of holding it. And so what I see it doing is actually flipping pretty much our previous all-time high resistance. We can see that this was kind of deviation above, but we've had a number of resistant attempts to break out of this right through this area here at about $200. We have yet to actually break it inside of this cycle until most recently we saw prices reach above it, make a new all-time high, and now we're actually pulling back above that. I actually think support's going to hold here. We're going to see this go into new all-time highs and go into price discovery. And so I figured that it was actually a good time to talk about this one. This is one that really doesn't have a big supply. There's not a lot of market cap. And so, you know, the price is basically at $200. You could probably get it slightly lower at this green line. But I think this is one of those that the dip gets bought up and it goes into price discovery. So returns are probably going to be a lot larger than most cryptos, mainly just because of the low market cap. But I did want to give you guys this one just because I do realize that it's breaking out and the chart looks really solid. Now, the rest of these are most likely going to be cryptos that you guys have sent in, or I hold, or you guys have asked me to cover. And this is one of those examples. Now, I haven't covered Hedera Hashgraph in a long time because of the fact I bought it really early. And one of the things I don't like to do on this channel, and it does kind of limit me to some extent, I don't sit there and constantly talk about cryptos that I'm already up a lot in, because I would never personally buy them at the prices that I would talk to them at. So I don't understand why I would actually like share them with you guys. That's just kind of been my thoughts. And so if you guys want me to cover more of these, I definitely can. But that was kind of my reasonings with it, because you guys got to remember, I've been buying HBAR since basically like here at this green line. So like 4 cents basically. So I've been buying H-bar for a long time. I accumulated throughout this entire period. You know, if that's my average entry price, which it's somewhere right around there, I don't know exactly, I'd have to look. I'm sitting up at about 900%. So I mean, decent returns, not as big as many of my other holdings, but I'm up enough that I don't necessarily want to talk about it a lot on the channel. I think the chart looks phenomenal. I think it looks amazing. It's got great partnerships. Fundamentally, I think this is one of the strongest cryptos you can invest in long term. But I just didn't see the need to talk about it because it had already started breaking out. It's already a higher cap. It's already a higher cap crypto. The returns are going to be diminished, and I think that there are better opportunities out there. But if you're holding this, I think it's an amazing, you know, a safe bet to hold, and I still think it's going to give great returns at the end of the year. You know, I'm up about 10x approximately thus far. I think that it's going to be able to produce at least another 10x. We could easily see H-bar at like $3. I don't think that that's unrealistic in the slightest. And so if that, from where we're at today, if we were to hit $3, you know, you're looking at like a 6x from here. So once again, because it's a high cap, you're not going to get the greatest returns, which is why I just don't talk about it anymore. But I still think it's going to do really well. Now, next up is going to be Cardano. Cardano is one of my favorite holds, been one of my better performing assets over the cycle, mainly because if you guys have been around for my channel, you know that I talked about Cardano all the way back down in here when it was at like 3 cents. And so I've been buying since all the way back in 2019. And from that point, kind of the same situation as H-bar. I stopped talking about it because it went up so fast. I knew that I wasn't personally going to be buying it at these levels, so why would I tell everybody else on YouTube to go buy it? So I kind of stopped talking about it. I still think this is a great hold. Where I think that we could see this long term, I think this could hit $10. I really do believe that we could see Cardano at $10 at the end of the year. I don't think that that's unrealistic. It'll be a high market cap, but we see crazy things in crypto. What I do believe that we're seeing today is honestly just us kind of figuring out where our low is going to be put in as. Now, there's a couple places it could be. I honestly think it could bottom pretty much where we're at. If we don't, then I would expect that we would drop one more leg lower, probably closer to $1.50. But that's kind of the first level that we're going to expect to see a support hold. If the market keeps breaking out and Bitcoin holds its support, everything else does like I expect it will, then most likely we're going to just hold support at $1.77. But I mean, this move itself is simply just wave 1 of 5. I believe. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But this to me just looks like wave 1 of 5. And so we're getting ready to see wave 3 of 5. It'll get really parabolic, and then we still have wave 5 of 5. And so to me, it looks realistic for us to see a $10 Cardano, just based off of the waves, how they're developing. I'm going to keep holding mine till the end of the year. I still think we have upside potential. And so if you're holding it, I still think it's a great hold. Do I think you should buy it now? Of course not. I think it's a terrible investment at this point. Risk to reward is just gone. Don't be buying Cardano. And that's kind of the thing, guys. If you're just getting in the market cycle, you're better off buying a low cap crypto. You're better off going into something way more risky. Because I mean, what's the point of buying these high cap cryptos that have already been bought? They've already gone up, 30 plus X, depending on which one you're buying. I just don't see the point in doing that. That's the big thing that you guys need to realize. It's not about price. The big thing is market cap. If something has multiple billions in market cap have to go into the market to match that in order to get you a double on your investment. So it's a lot harder to do that if you have 10 billion in market cap, 70 billion in market cap, whatever it is, compared to going and buying something with like 10 to less than 100 million in market cap, right? That's my thoughts. That's just what I think you guys should do if you're just getting into the market. Now, one of my favorite cryptos that I just recently found in my wallet that I forgot I was holding is Avagachi. Now, this is actually NFTs for Aave, and I don't know exactly what it is besides that, and so, I bought it early on just because of the NFT narrative. But I mean, I still think that this looks really solid, and what I actually noticed from me pulling it back up was just how good the chart actually looks. That was why I wanted to cover it today. Now, what we see here is just a really clear parabolic trend that's developing, and I haven't seen one this clear and precise probably since Chainlink. Because Chainlink did this against its Bitcoin pair for a long time, and this one looks a lot like that early Bitcoin cycle for Chainlink. There's great volume throughout this entire period, higher highs, higher lows, and it looks like stacking one waves, which is something I've talked a lot on this channel because I think it's one of the most bullish setups that we can have. This looks to be wave 1. And it looks like we're in wave 3 currently. This move after the lows that we just met on that trend line looks to be completed wave 1, and now we're working on wave 3 of 3. Wave 3 of 3 could easily take us to $4.50. Wave 3 of 3 could easily take us above, what I'm even showing on the screen. At this point in the cycle, it's hard to say, and you can't just draw, Elliott waves. You can't just draw Fibonacci and say, okay, 100% it's guaranteed to hit here, because we never truly know. And so that's why with these cryptos that haven't really shown a whole lot of price history, they can go up a lot quicker than you think. The big reason for covering this is because I do believe that we're going to see this thing above $10. I think that that's a given. Just based off of how early this cycle is, this is the point where I believe it's about to go very parabolic. And so I just wanted to give you guys this quick update for anybody that did want to jump into something. I still think this one being a little bit of a lesser market cap compared to, basically everything I've covered on today's list aside from Bird Money. I think that Bird Money and Avogacci are going to be the most undervalued. These are just two charts that I think look exceptional that are about to be breaking out in a big way. And so Avogacci, it's already up a decent amount, especially from where I started buying it, but I still think it's got a lot more upside potential to go, especially with the NFTs starting to take off again. Now, another one that I see a lot of people talking about, a lot of people have asked me to cover, and I don't really know why, mainly because it's just went up a lot, but this is Quant. Now, Quant has been a major leader over the last couple months. It went through a lot of accumulation, consolidation before having a massive breakout. This was like a 20x move, and now we've been pulling back ever since. Now, a lot of people have been asking me what I think about it, and to be quite honest, the chart really doesn't look that good right now. It doesn't look that good right now. Nothing more that I could say about it. And if I had to guess, I would expect for whatever reason this is going to drop back down to about $180. I think that that's a good place to target. And that would make a lot of sense to me because it's probably right around there close to the 618 fib, depending on where we draw this. If we draw it up here, yeah, it's almost exactly on that 618 Fibonacci. And that's kind of what I expect most of these will bottom to. This one looks a lot like many of the cryptos that we've seen up to this point. It's just a little bit further behind. In fact, this one, while Quant was pumping and going up, many of the other cryptos were still going down, and they were correcting. And so now that this one's starting to correct, many of the other ones are going back up. And this is kind of what you're going to see with some of these cryptos. They're not all going to be going up at the exact same time. Some of them will make their moves, some of them will lag, some of them will lead, and they're all going to go off at their own times. And so I think Quant is just going to be one of those laggards where it's going to drop to $180. And then it'll begin its next cycle up. That's just kind of my thoughts on the matter. That's what the chart looks like to me, because right now it really doesn't look good at all. It looks pretty bearish. And so that's one that I know a lot of you guys wanted covered. Let's talk about Polkadot as well, because this is another one of those that looks just like the Bitcoin chart for the most part. I think it'll outperform Bitcoin. It'll probably outperform Ethereum as we get closer towards the end of the year. And it's had one of the biggest rises off of the lows that we ended up seeing. This one looks a lot like 2017 altcoins, roughly the same sort of symmetry here. I would argue that the time frames are almost the same too. Fairly close to the same as what we saw in 2017, maybe a little bit shorter. But what we've already experienced is us rallying, making a new all-time high with Bitcoin, and then we're pretty much just retesting the previous highs. The previous resistance as support. I think that support's going to hold. We could technically go a little lower, but this looks bullish to me. Everything about the market looks bullish to me. It looks like support and resistance flips. So I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of a better entry. If we do, it would look something like this. It would bounce up, and then we get a bigger move back down to like $26. It would look something like that. But most likely, I think that this is going to hold, and we're going to go to another new all-time high. So Polkadot's another one of those that I personally wouldn't be buying right now. If you have a decent chunk of change to throw at the market, I don't think it's a bad idea by any means. You'll still make money. But again, with the high market cap things, if you're just now getting into the market, I don't see why you would buy a high market cap crypto when you could go a little bit more risky with a lower cap crypto, because they're probably all going to go up regardless. Polkadot's just going to be another one of those that I do think the chart looks phenomenal. I haven't sold any of mine thus far. I bought mine all the way back in the IOU before this thing even listed on exchanges. And so I actually am up significantly thus far. I don't see any reason to sell it yet, but I will be getting to that point. If I was to be adding to a position, I would not be doing it now. And that's kind of why I haven't talked about it a lot on the channel. Now, I wanted to cover a market cycle, 3 cryptos specifically that are from the 2017 era, and they're known as dino coins, right? The ones that pumped really hard in the last cycle. A lot of you guys still hold them. probably from buying them all the way up here during that 2017 cycle or getting back into them in the bear market. But one of the things about these is the fact that they literally have done nothing the entire bull run. As many altcoins have broken out, as many of them have made new all-time highs, these literally have gone nowhere besides sideways. And this looks a lot like, you know, Ethereum did all the way back down in here. It looks very similar to what Ethereum did, where we just went sideways forever and ever. But you guys got to remember that Ethereum bottoms here, and it breaks out pretty much here. So that's like 700 days worth of consolidation, whereas Dash, you're looking at like 1,000 plus, 1,069. That's how many days that Dash has been going sideways. And so the chart looks almost the same as Ethereum. It looks like this right here, where the chart of Ethereum actually flipped this resistance and broke out of it for the first time. It looks just like that period of time all the way back down in there. The only difference is it's happening on a much bigger period of time, and everything, we're so close to the end of the cycle. And so I really don't know what to think about these old cryptos. Do I think that they could pump? Of course. Do I think that it's worth the risk? No, because I think a lot of other stuff has already proven to us that it's going to keep going up. And so I think that there's a lot of risk holding these older cryptos as we're getting closer towards the end of the cycle. But I mean, here's the thing. Just in that same theory of why I'm more skeptical about them, they also have a lot of upside potential. If these do pump and they, you know, prove to us that they're not completely dead, they're going to have some of the bigger returns out of many of the higher cap cryptos. And we could see these things go into a new all-time high. I don't know by any means if it's going to be likely. It just seems weird that they haven't done anything and we're so late into the cycle. That's why, in my opinion, it just holds a lot more risk. And it's kind of the same thing with XRP. But I mean, you look at XRP, and XRP is up a lot higher than Dash is. And so the same can be told for, I mean, Bitcoin Cash right here as well. This is another one of those that looks just about the exact same as Dash. I probably would imagine it's the same period of time that we've been going sideways. Exact same period of time. The charts look the same. The charts look great from a market cycle perspective. Tons of accumulation, 3 years of accumulation that we've just been going sideways without a pump. You would expect to see a massive pump out of that in the same way that we saw it with a number of the other cryptos in the market. But it's odd that we just haven't seen that. And so I'm really skeptical on if we will see that. If we do, it's going to be a big, glorious rally. Chances are this thing will go to the all-time highs, which is like 6x. But that's kind of why I also say that there is a lot of risk with them. Because what if they don't? What if they, they do make a new high? They go up, make a high, but it's something like this, and then it just dies again. And then that's the end of the cycle for Bitcoin Cash. What if that happens? That honestly would suck. And I think that during this period of time, you could still make a decent profit, like 3x return, but there's going to be many cryptos that give, way more than that. And so with many of these old cryptos, they just seem like a lot of risk to me. And the same is told for Dash. All of these charts look the exact same, or this is EOS, but they all look the exact same. And it's just so weird that we have not seen any type of major rally on the upside. That, especially with EOS being a layer 1, we've seen every layer 1 for the most part rally, except for EOS. You could make the argument for Tezos, but Tezos has gone up a lot more than EOS has in comparison. And so I really just don't know what to think about these. I would love to see them rally hard because they have accumulated so long. They show an impulse. This is an impulse here, even though it just doesn't really look that great, and us being so late into the cycle, the only way I can put it is there is definitely going to be a lengthening cycle, and old cryptos from the last cycle are an example of that. That's really the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, these are just completely dead. And so you guys know I'm looking to scale out at the end of the year. I still think that that's when we're going to get our cycle top. And so it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens with these cryptos getting closer towards the end of the year. Will they pump? Will they not? I don't know, but I'm not really trying to figure that out for the most part. I don't hold these in my portfolio. I do hold some Bitcoin Cash, but that's it. I've been holding it for a long time. But I did want to give you guys this video as just a way to talk about a number of different topics, give you guys some altcoins, talk about the market as a whole, what we're seeing with some of these altcoins, and really, what we're going to expect to see if we see a big breakout at the end of the year. Many of these are going to take off in their own way. Many look similar to what we saw in 2017. Many of them look different in their own way. But as a whole, I think that we're going to see a lot more upside potential. And this is just kind of a way that we can visualize how many of them are going to play out inside of that end of the year. here below up top. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are provided for you in the description for that. If you guys want to join my VIP group, follow the trades that I take, get access to all of that, especially the stocks and where I'm going to be piling my money into at the end of the year when I sell all my crypto. Links are going to be provided for you in the description for all of that. Thank you so much for watching. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.